What do we have here? We have Gooner Gathering's founding father hosting a Wrestle Dawgs channel. How has this happened? Have I purchased Wrestle Dawgs? Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Wrestle Dawgs. My name is Lee Meadows, also known as Gooner Lee Meads, and today, of course, we are joined by heel Batmane. How are you today,
yes,
sir?
That is correct, and I'm very well, thank you, Lee. I've got a little rant to go on later on, so yeah, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. I'm ready for this to talk about Backlash, even though I haven't seen it. But let's go.
Excellent. This is going to go exceptionally well. Can feel it in my bones. I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my bones. And of course, I am joined by my tag team partner over on Gooner Gathering. I am joined by the one and only poshest man in all of sports entertainment. It's Posh Bertie up there. Hello, mate.
Hello. Oh, I was grinning like a Cheshire cat when you did that intro. It was wonderful. Yes, I'm very good, thank you.
I'm West End trained, don't you know?
Yes, I've got my hair cut and I'm ready to go. So excellent.
No, it's been an extremely busy week in the wrestling. Of course, we have got a lot to go through today. We have got Raw and we have got NXT. Apparently, Sam says there's nothing happened on SmackDown, so that's a bonus. And of course, we have Le Backlash from Lyon in France just yesterday. So we've got a lot to go by, but I believe heel Batman has something he wants to say before we get it all started. So the floor is yours, sir.
This is going to be gold stuff.
I like that. What I don't like is a Goldmane. And we've got a little beef going on right now. And that is over the word mane. Right, I'm just going to pull this up, boys, if you don't mind. Give me a sec. This man is apparently called Snow White, the Ice Lord. Whoever the fuck that is.
I'm glad I've got my headphones on now.
Sorry for the swearing. But he made a video on me, and let's take a little listen to what he says here.
Yo, Batman is back on crack. I'm assuming is what you meant to say there. You gonna read it in a second.
Did you hear that? This man. Give me a sec. This man is talking about me taking crack.
Wow.
No, but for real.
What is he thinking, to be fair?
Who does he think he is? Who is Goldmane? That's the first thing.
It doesn't matter who Goldmane is.
Exactly. But seriously, who the fuck is he? That's one. And two, I want to call Snow White out. And maybe even his seven dwarfs and Goldmane, if he's one of those dwarfs. Let's fight. I want you on Misfits. I know we might not be big yet, but Misfits, just set this up. I want this man in the ring. Set it up. That's all I got to say. Thank you, Lee.
Wow.
We are going to set up Gooner Gathering Wrestling Federation one day when we're...
Can you imagine?
That will happen. That will be the main event of the evening. And yeah, it'll be a special.
I don't want no wrestling match. I want a boxing match.
Whatever you want, it'll happen.
I want to box this man. Talking about me like that. Heel Batmane. I'll say main all the amount I want, mate. Don't know why I said it like that. Don't ask. All right.
It's on a t-shirt.
Thank you very much. And
let's carry on.
If you want to buy a t-shirt, please make sure you check out the merch store. It is in the links down below us on the YouTube channel. Please. That's
another thing he said, actually. In the video, he said, all that money you're making from that merch, I'm coming for it. I'm on your bumper. That's in his words. Did you see how I done that? That was sick. Let's be honest, that was sick. But anyway, he said, I'm
every penny.
Goodness me. Well, this This is starting a way I didn't expect, I have to tell you.
I,
But if you're foolish enough to go one-on-one with the king of the Wrestle Dogs, I can tell you, that ain't going to work well.
he doesn't want it. He doesn't want the smoke. He doesn't want it.
I mean, normally in a one-on-one wrestling match, you have a 50% chance of winning. But when you go against Hill Batman, them odds, they just won't work. I'm sorry. It's just not going to work.
They get a minus 666.666 chance of winning.
Yeah.
Mm.
So the challenge has gone down, ladies and gentlemen. We await anxiously, in anticipation, to quote the great Mike Adamley, to see how he will respond to that. But perhaps it might be my job right now to get us back to the serious business of talking about this week in the wrestling. And big up to our colleague on both our channels here, both here at Wrestle Dawg and on Gooner Gathering, Sam Wilson, who's been doing the groundwork for me. So he's basically set out what has been going on the show. So what I think I shall do, I'll talk about a little bit about the notes there, and I may throw it to you two at some stage as we go through. And I appreciate Sam Wilson's work here. And of course, I haven't watched a single minute of the wrestling apart from just a very, very quick little recap. Wasn't a good time for my my WhatsApp to fail there, was it? Really, but I think I've got
the notes here.
I'm good.
You,
I've managed to blag my way through it, and I'm back where I should be. So let's refer to how Monday Night Raw started, shall we? Becky Lynch coming out and saying that, of course, she won the Battle Royale to become the champion of the women's division following the vacation from Marmy herself. Liv Morgan says she's the number 1 contender, and Nia Jax has come out to confront them both. Following that, Stephanie McMahon back on Raw. I was astonished to read this. Exactly. Comes out to make the first pick of the draft, and Imperium are going to Raw. Jade Cargill is going to SmackDown. Damage Control are going to Raw, and Kevin Owens is going to SmackDown. Gentlemen, your thoughts on the opening part of Raw, please. Let's take it to Hill Batman first, please.
I'll be honest. I didn't see any of it. I haven't seen anything, Lee. I'll be honest. I'm here to find out the stuff that happened. I'll be honest. I haven't seen nothing. I haven't seen anything.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on the draft picks at the very least? Let me reiterate. Imperium going to Raw, Cargill to SmackDown, Damage Control to Raw, and KO to SmackDown.
Amazing, mate. That's amazing.
Bertie, can you rescue this segment, please?
It's. I think I know what Raw is doing. They're picking more people by picking all the stables. That's what they're doing. But yeah, I've got no major thoughts about this. But other than it's quite nice to see Stephanie back. Not seen her in a while. And
no, that's something I can agree with.
Properly, but she's just there. She was there as a guest.
She was there representing ECW, which I'm sure Hill Batman was a big fan of, and of course Kyle is a big fan of ECW as well. Of course, representing the ECW cap and supporting Paul Heyman in the Hall of Fame over WrestleMania weekend. So okay, fair enough. Now I've got to figure out what Sam's got written down here. So bear what it says right in front of me. It says, "I show speed and Logan Paul round 2." Does that make any sense to you? Because it doesn't me. Or does he mean that Raw promoted the first episode of Speed, and then Logan Paul came down for round 2 in the draft?
No, Logan Paul came out with some very hyperactive bloke called I Show Speed. That's his YouTube or influencer name, I think. And yeah, I don't know much about him other than he's a bit obsessed with Cristiano Ronaldo a little too much. But those two picked, announced the second round picks for the draft.
Which will be CM Punk going to Raw, the Pride. Who are the Pride?
I believe that's... Is that Bobby Lashley's stable that he's got?
No, isn't that the Final Testament or something? Or who's that? Who's that?
It's either that or it's either Bobby Lashley's fellas or it's Karrion Kross's fellas.
Let me have a look. Let me research this. Let's be
might be
professional.
Bobby Lashley's stable, I think.
Okay.
What was the name again?
The Pride.
The Pride. WWE. Let's have a look. Yeah, Bobby Lashley. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
Correct.
So Lashley and who?
The Street Profits, I think.
Angelo Dawkins, Montez Ford, and someone else.
Someone else who likes coffee as well, presumably.
It won't let me collapse the thing. The drop down.
Okay. You've given me enough information to go by that. Absolutely fine. This next name has caught me aghast a little bit because I have not seen Braun Strowman in an awful long time. But presumably he's all healed from, I believe he's had neck fusion surgery. So apparently Strowman going to Raw and Tiffany Stratton going to SmackDown. So probably the best person to go for this is my tag team partner. Posh, what do you think?
I've not seen Braun in a while. I don't think. I think he was injured for a long time, but I believe obviously he's back from his injury. CM Punk on Raw. That's obviously another big name. It'll be interesting to see what he'll be doing. And I know when it comes to Tiffany Stratton, I know one Sam Wilson was a big fan of what NXT has been doing. And I know I believe she's been one of the true pioneers of the women's division in NXT. Yeah, that'll be quite an interesting thing to see. You know what? From what I've seen from Tiffany Stratton in wrestling, especially at Backlash, she's actually quite good. So I'm looking forward to seeing what transpires from her.
Thank you very much. Anything else to add to that, Carl, Mr. Hill Batman? Sorry.
What I do want to say is, me and Devon were talking about this. Shout out to Devon Rucker, by the way. Go check out his channel, boys, after this, obviously. But what I do want to say is, it doesn't feel like it matters too much anymore. Like, the drafts, they used to matter. And, like, Raw, and whether you're going to Raw and SmackDown, it, like, seemed to matter. But it doesn't feel like that anymore to me. Like, or to Devon, apparently. Like, I'm going to speak for him here, because we spoke about it. But, yeah. It just doesn't feel like it means it doesn't mean anything anymore. Like, because a while back, like, it was like you'd always see whoever's on SmackDown, never on Raw. And like nowadays, it's like they'll appear anywhere anyway. It doesn't matter. It's like,
yeah, I've seen that past few weeks as well. It's
yeah.
Especially when it comes to WrestleMania, when they're all on like. Because the weeks before WrestleMania, a lot of like Cody Rhodes was on like both brands, wasn't he? But yeah, it was a bit confusing. But we'll see what happens in the next 2 weeks.
But that was good promoting, as far as I can see, because that's the best way to promote your main event for WrestleMania. And you had 2 nights of that. Cody going to both shows, it made an awful lot of sense in the build-up. What I think the draft does do, it gives you some sort of direction on what your goal is at the end of the day. You're looking at your like, so obviously Cody has gone to SmackDown, I think, and Priest, I think, is over on Raw, right? So for example, they're your two main men's titles. So it gives you a little bit of direction. It gives you a little bit of clarity on where you're going to find the champion, for example. And perhaps that's what it's ultimately about. I mean, I don't know if it's like a hard set kind of thing, so we'll never see the likes of, I don't know, Strowman popping up on SmackDown for whatever reason, or Punk going over there, whatever. But what it does do is kind of separate where you are in terms of the ultimate prize, if you will. What do you think? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, that was fantastic content.
I think what it is, Lee, is, sorry, before we move on, I think what it is, it's like probably because me and Devon come from like that time when it was the WWE Championship and the World Heavyweight title, right? And like it was like it was just like that. And I think we just felt like, because we sort of fell out of it at that time, and the titles changed and stuff, and everything changed. I think we've probably missed something there, and like it doesn't feel the same. I think we look for that a lot as well, like fans a lot. Like we want it to be the same as what it used to be, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm chatting shit. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. No, it's your show, mate. You can chat whatever shizzle you want to talk. It's all good for me. So, where are we up for? I think I've mentioned Stratton to SmackDown. So, the APA making a return. JBL and Ron Simmons. Cue damn reference.
On a clock, Mr. Meadows.
Damn.
Absolutely, he certainly is, Michael. So in the draft picks, the LWO, that's all of them going over to Raw. Now let's see how good my pronunciation skills are. I've been looking at this for the last 2 minutes and wondering how bad I'm going to butcher this one. So Liagno del Fantasmo, how's that?
That was brilliant.
There you go. Shades of Paul.
That was brilliant.
Excellent.
Thank you. He's off to SmackDown. And Drew McIntyre, this clearly makes a lot of sense. Going to Raw, Shinsuke Jobber Nakamura going to SmackDown. Yes, I know I said what I said. It's a shame because I don't think he's really featured in the prominence where he should have probably be, but heck of a wrestler nonetheless. Further thoughts on that, gentlemen, before I move?
Well, Drew and Punk on the same brand makes a lot of sense. Drew McIntyre's heel run has been fantastic.
I can't wait for that, to be fair. I can't wait for like when they're actually like going to wrestle, that sort of time, when all the actual real stuff starts happening. Can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Bertie, anything else, mate, before I move?
No, I was just saying how Drew and Punk on the same brand makes a lot of sense. And Drew's heel run is fantastic, as both myself and Cole mentioned.
One of the full segments that I have seen of this week's wrestling is Drew working the back of the arena, trying to find what box that CM Punk is in. And he said, do you know where he is and all this? And these guys don't know where he is. Oh, he's in this one over here. And by the time Drew has made his way into this skybox, all of a sudden, cult of personality hits. And of course, CM Punk is making his way to the ring. And he refers to Drew like an ex-girlfriend that he can't get rid of. And believe me, Punk's had enough of them. He said, winners make things happen. Losers wish for things to happen to them. Gonna make your life a living hell when I'm back. I think it was noticeable that he was without the cast as well. So it may suggest that he's getting well on the way back to a big CM Punk return. I know I like saying that because I'm taking the mick out of Ollie Davis. But gentlemen, your thoughts on the Punk promo? I thought it was fantastic. I love this bit. It's probably the highlight of the show for me.
I mean, I didn't see it, but I'll take your word for it.
Is this how this is going to go? Is it? None of us have seen Raw.
I haven't seen it. Literally.
I'm looking forward to the
Sam
Drew versus
Wilson.
Punk feud. It's going to be very nice. There you
Sam
go. That's my
Wilson, you
words.
promised me you were going to be in the chat. I do not see your name popping up. You've set us up good and proper here, my friend.
I'm enjoying it.
What can I say? If you're enjoying what we are doing here on Wrestle Dogs, make sure you hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed and have a look once we are done on the merch store. And of course, you can check out the Patreon page. That's patreon.com/WrestleDogs for exclusive content on this wonderful channel. So let's thank you very much. You can clip that as well if you want. That's all good with me. So
I would, but I don't know how.
We'll talk
I'll
off
try.
air, son. We'll talk
Sweet.
off air. I can help you on that one.
He's the master at YouTube Shorts. The man below.
I tell you something. I have put a lot of work into doing them, and I've learned an awful lot about editing in the last 6 months or something. So
I'll use it to pop it in a video, but I'm not getting into shorts. That's too much for me. I can't deal with shorts. I'll be honest.
We'll talk off air.
Sweet.
Air. Let's move it along. And let me tell you something, player. We've got someone else to come in to talk about. Yeah, it's the Matt Wilson. He's going to bring it on. There's Teddy Long coming down and Alondra Blaze for round 4 on the draft picks. Judgment Day going to Raw. Naomi to SmackDown. Ilya Dragunov is the NXT pick, of course. What is his status as champion? Did you just lose it, Posh?
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah.
So it makes sense him getting called up.
Yeah. But an extremely talented wrestler I've had my eye on for quite some time is going to the Raw brand. Chelsea Green, as a ring announcer may say, and Piper Niven going to SmackDown. So there we go. That's that round of drafts coming in. And, of course, they keep on coming. The Dudley Boys coming into play for round 5. New Day going to Raw. Pretty Deadly going to SmackDown. Nah. Leroy Valkyrie. How's that? Valkyrie. That's right. I know.
Lyria Valkyria, I think. I'll be honest, I know very little about this person. But she was in NXT's women's division recently.
Yeah.
So that's what I know.
These two I can pronounce quite fine. But he hasn't put what brand they're going to. Candice LeRae,
I presume SmackDown.
And Indy Hartwell over to SmackDown, presumably. Well, Carl's gone on mute at the moment, so I won't ask him at the moment.
I will say, with you mentioned Ilya Dragunov in the previous round, him and Gunter on the same brand. That could be the match that's going to happen in Berlin.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense to me, doesn't it, eh?
That's the WXW, that is.
Yeah, the Battle of Berlin. Oh, it sounds incredible, doesn't it? Two big, beefy men going at it. Oh, I love the sound of that.
Well, there we go.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
Have you got anything to add about New Day? Anything like that?
Well, as in the New Day, very established tag team. They're on the Raw brand. I'll be honest, I've not got much to add on that. I believe it's the penultimate round. Lyria, I'll be honest, I do not know much about, other than the fact she was in NXT's women's division. But I will probably see more of her in the future. Which So yeah, all the more to discover.
And that's what NXT is all about, isn't it? It's getting people TV ready to go worldwide. all around the wrestling atmosphere. Just to get them the publicity, it gets them all prepared and ready. So hopefully that will work well for Valkyrie. So I believe the general managers came out next for round 6. That's Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis. And the last picks are Final Testament to Raw,
That's
DIY.
and his fellas.
Yeah. DIY to SmackDown, or Regeneration X, as we called them earlier in this week. Big Bronson Reed, he's a throwback for me. I like him.
Oh, he's a big breakfast, isn't he? He's a big boy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Going to Raw. And Blair Davenport. Would you care to fill me in a little bit on Davenport for SmackDown?
That Blair Davenport, you may remember her as B. Priestley.
I do know B. Priestley. Oh, wow.
That's her.
B. Priestley, I have very fond memories of some exceptional matches in WCPW back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fantastic. Thank you for letting me know that. I did not know that at all. She had a fantastic match against... Help me out with the Welsh lady.
Nixon Newell, but now Tegan Knox.
Tegan Knox, Nixon Newell. A brilliant last woman standing match is in my head right now. It's one of the most brutal matches that the What Culture Pro Wrestling ever put on, and it was incredible. I loved it.
It's truly amazing how all these WCPW originals are now on WWE. B. Priestley, Nixon Newell, Rey Mysterio, like so many WCPW originals are.
It'll be wrong of me not to mention Will Ospreay over an AEW as well in that list as well. Do you know what I mean? That had an exceptional run. And it was a lot of fun. It actually got me back watching almost weekly on that content, and it kind of got rekindled my love of the old wrestling when maybe I hadn't checked in for quite some time.
Hello, Jordan.
Running.
Hello.
How are you?
I am still here, boys. Sorry, I'm just eating my food. I don't want to eat on camera.
No worries, my friends. How are you doing today, sir? You well?
I'm good. I managed to get the Wi-Fi working, and here I am.
And props to you getting the blurred background as well. I tried that the other week, and it completely failed me on the stream I recorded. So congratulations on achieving that. So as you've just joined us, Jordan, what are your thoughts? I've gone through basically Raw, and I've gone through the picks in the draft. Is there anything in particular that you would like to talk about in regards to the draft situation?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing really is I totally agreed with what you guys were saying earlier, that the draft just doesn't feel the same anymore. And I feel like this year, or this draft more so, because the champions weren't allowed to be drafted. That was half the fun. The champions moving brand, and the time John Cena moved to SmackDown and then moved back to Raw. It was, and now we're not going to get to see that. It takes a little bit of the fun away from it.
Of course, it's probably worth mentioning that the former undisputed champion Roman Reigns made himself unavailable for the draft. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, Jordan.
Well, I don't think it was Roman. From watching either SmackDown or Backlash, I can't remember what happened. I think Heyman said that he pulled Roman out of the draft and said that he hadn't heard from Roman since WrestleMania. So, I mean, I get what they're doing. I think Roman's going to come back at some point with his own version of the Bloodline, and then we're really going to have Bloodline Civil War.
Well, we'll get into that in a little bit, if you like. But I think from this stage forward, if no one else has got anything to add, if you have, Bosch, raise your hand.
I'm good at the moment.
You're good at the moment. Right. Here's unknown territory for me, boys and girls. NXT if I don't see Raw and SmackDown, do you really think Sam Wilson? Do you really think I'm going to see NXT? I'm sorry, mate. I mean, give me an idea who Obafemi is.
He's the bloke that ruined our chances of
afterwards?
winning the League Cup in 2011. Or is that someone else?
Yeah, the Birmingham player. That's the one, isn't it? Jordan, help us out, mate.
So yeah, I'm coming in at a good time because I am a massive NXT fan, and out of all of the brands, I would put myself as a NXT over SmackDown on Raw. So
Right.
like
I've heard good things. I've heard really good things about it, actually. I should check it out someday.
Yeah, I mean it's great, and if you buy into it, it's the storytelling we want on the main brand, but just at a lower budget production.
Yeah.
Because I like the black and gold NXT, obviously, when Triple H was like in charge back then. But and then it became 2.0, and I'm like, oh no, I don't want to do anything to do with that. But then it's kind of like a bit in between, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, now with HBK running the show, it's almost like black and gold with HBK's twist on it. They're not so much focusing on indie stars anymore. They're going for homegrown. You see him, Bron Breakker. He's the biggest star coming out of it so far.
I like him.
He's had good training, hasn't he? If you've seen anything, I mean, my generation worked in. Yeah, I'm exposing my age a little bit here, of course, but I watched the Steiner brothers come up in their WWF run, and they always impressed me. To have Braun Breaker as the potentially the top man over there for such a long time, he's had good grounding. So it's one I really rate. Anything further you want to go with on NXT on that one? I've got a few more things to talk about.
Yeah, I'll just quickly say that NXT had their first NXT Underground match, which is, I guess, their kind of take on a UFC style fight that they put on during COVID. Awesome concept. No ropes. Jobbers around the ring watching. It gives it a good atmosphere, and it was good. It was a good
TV time. TV money.
It's all about the money. So, would you tell me who the competitors were in this NXT Underground match?
Yeah, so we had Natalya and we had Lola Vice.
Okay. And how did it get on, and how was the finish?
Good match. Shayna Baszler got involved, caused a distraction, and Lola Vice spinning back elbow KO'd Natalya for the win.
Wow.
I mean, adding a few main roster wrestlers in the mix, aren't they, now?
Yeah.
Because I know Becky Lynch and Tiffany Stratton had a bit of a feud, didn't they?
Yeah, and I think
the NXT title, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I think that's what they're doing well when it's, they're trying to pull the audience in. Like a couple of months ago when they had Undertaker on there and he chokeslammed Bron Breakker, Cody was on there.
That's the only thing from NXT I've seen, I think, ever.
CM Punk showed up on NXT as well and had a fun little segment with Shawn Michaels, didn't he? Whilst wearing a Bret Hart shirt, I thought was quite funny.
I did see that as well, actually, yeah.
But so the notes from Sam here was saying that so Lola Vice started strong in this matchup, kind of engaging, kind of not awful, but not amazing, as he was saying. Like you said, Lola Vice wins via the KO, apparently, because I haven't seen it. But that was your NXT highlights of the week. Anything more to add on NXT? I'm particularly looking at you, Jordan.
No, not really. Just shout out to Ivar and Obafemi, two behemoths, absolutely showcasing what big men can do.
Absolutely.
Good old Hoss match.
It's what we all love to see. meets. Big shout out to Sean Stasiak. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, it's my generation. You know what I'm talking about. Before we do anything else, well, let's go to AEW. Is there, Cole? Is there anybody in the comments that we need to refer to before I carry on?
It was actually I think it was Jordan was in the comments. It was Jordan who's in the comments, but he's here now. So there we go.
Excellent. Okay, because I don't have admin power like I do on youtube.com/Gooner Gathering. So
there's one comment from someone called Sam Wilson. I don't know if you've heard of him. He says, "Hey gang, apologies again that I can't be there. I feel very rough right now. Have the best show." Well, that's what happens when you stay up partying at 5 a.m. So there you go, Sam.
Yeah.
No, have a no worries, Sam.
It's all good, mate. It's all good. So let's. How's your knowledge of AEW, Posh? Is it good?
I haven't seen a single minute this week. Yeah.
Okay.
Someone out of Kyle or Jordan will have to do a bit of heavy lifting here.
Right. So
yeah, it can't be me either. Sorry. I've seen nothing this week really, except the highlights of Backlash. So I'm waiting for that.
So for anyone who didn't catch last week's show, I'm very familiar with Jungle Boy coming back, right? For the first time on AEW television since the infamous incident at Wembley Stadium, where, using the real glass Crimea River and all that sort of business, right? And of course, he was in the ring with TK, and of course they ended up in a bit of a physical confrontation, which of course ended up with the Young Bucks coming in, and they hit didn't they call it the Tony Khan driver or something along them lines?
The Tony driver, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Thank you. So of course, I love this, by the way. Khan appearing on mainstream blimmin' media in the States, full gimmicked up like Vince McMahon out of a blimmin' court case with a full-on neck brace.
And he knows a lot about that. There it is.
It's almost like we spoke to each other about that. That was incredible. Great work from heel Batman in the back there. So
cheers.
AEW started, of course, with them saying that Tony Khan was not cleared to be on television, and the Young Bucks saying that they've lost connection from Khan and they can't fire me. And in the words of Ric Flair, I'm already fired. Fire me. Anyway, they did that, and then they had. Now I've got written in front of me title introduction with just Young Bucks and Okada. Anyone enlighten me a little bit?
I think they're
No.
other than the fact that Okada's very, very good. Very good.
I've heard a lot of good things about Okada. Isn't he like a really highly respected wrestler?
Like Mr. New Japan, essentially.
Fair enough.
Completely, yeah. I mean, I'm clearly watching New Japan every week, and I'm a big fan. But Okada is actually a name I have heard of, and he's big. Is big over there. All right, if we've got nothing else to talk about there, we'll move on, because Christian Cage will fight Swerve Strickland at Double or Nothing. That's going to be a big match.
That'll be interesting.
Swerve is the newly crowned champion, I want to say.
Swerve, yeah.
Excellent. Like I called on the prediction stream out of nowhere. So we've got that to come very shortly. Chris Jericho, you might have remembered him. He beat The Rock and Steve Austin in one night. We might have spoken about it a few times. Beat Shibata. Isn't that sort of bread roll?
I was going to say.
For the FTW championship? What's the FTW Championship, guys?
I think it's the belt that Taz introduced, I think, on AEW.
I mean, I know
When
what
Brian
it could
Cage
represent.
came in, and yeah.
I know what it could represent, but I can't possibly say that in front of my daughter. But it's something about the world. Any idea, Jordan?
Let's go
Help me.
for it. It says free the world.
Free the
There we
world.
go.
Yeah.
Make it a better
Let
place
them know
for
it's
you
Christmas
and for me
time.
and the entire human race. Yes, that's a Michael Jackson song. So okay, so that's happened as well. Excellent. Adam Copeland, isn't he called Edge?
To me,
defeated Buddy Matthews or just Matthews for the Dynamite. Oh, sorry, TNT title. Was that a good match, guys? How did that end?
In the immortal words of one of our former, in one of the managers in our favourite football team, I did not see it.
I did not see it.
So I don't know, but
I'm glad this is going so
well,
well.
it's quite weird calling him Adam Copeland when he's been known as Edge for like the majority of his career in WWE. It's a bit difficult to get used to saying that.
Yeah. Anything more, Jordan, on the Copeland match?
No, apart from the fact that it should have just been Edge versus Buddy Murphy. To me, that's the way I remember both of those names.
Yeah, I get that completely. I get that completely. Is heel Batman still with us?
I'm still with you.
Excellent. I'm sure you've got some sound journalism to talk about with Edge again and Buddy Matthews here.
Not really, to be honest. As everyone else said,
You reminded me of Posh Bertie when I started doing a gathering stream. Yeah.
Very true.
It's been a busy week.
Yeah. I've got my notepad, mate.
That's just for tomorrow. that's for tomorrow's video.
Okay, there you go.
Gonna Gathering.
YouTube.com/Gonna Gathering. Anyway, let's bring it to more serious business here, because the next thing I've got to talk about is the return of Kenny Omega. Omega. There you go. So, the cleaner, in the words of Sam Wilson, I very nearly called him Sam Driver then. I very nearly did. Oh, can you imagine I did that? Anyway.
You get a cease and desist letter.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. The shredders will be right at me. The cleaner said he wasn't good at talking about injuries, but he spoke about having the diagnosis of
diverticulitis.
Thank you, Posh. Thank you very much. That. And apparently it was about 24 hours from being deleted, or death, as Sam has put it in the chat here. And he was scared of not being able to wrestle again. And I mean, I think we're all aware that he put out some exceptional matches. Even if we haven't all seen them all, he's certainly been the one who's been sweeping up all the titles in every single division that he shows up in. Kenny was saying that he was going to make sure he came back eventually, but then he moved on talking about the Young Bucks, spoke about still having the EVP status and retaining some power in AEW, which eventually brought out Sheikha Okada? Question mark?
Okada, yep.
That's it.
They've got history before, of course. Okada and Omega.
Yeah.
Lots of it.
And Omega saying that if Okada gives him a few months, they will settle their feud in an AEW ring. And Jack Perry attacked them from behind while Okada grabbed a chair. The best belt machine ended up taking Perry out, but seemed to be in pain after he did it. Perry ended up hitting him in the gut with a chair before the Bucks arrived and hit the EVP trigger before FTR come in to make the save. That is the end of my notes for AEW. So any more I need to elate to on that, Jordan, please?
I will put my hands up now. I'm not a big AEW follower. All I know is if we get Okada versus Kenny Omega in AEW, I will be watching it.
Okay.
I will be there.
Well, I mean, listen, if you wanted to put your hands up and wave them side to side, let's just give Joe Hendry a bit of a shout out, shall we? How incredible is it for the prestigious one himself to be amongst the getting the plaudits over the top 40 here in the UK and all over the streaming platforms on iTunes and Spotify for that fantastic theme song.
He's made it to the top 40.
He's in the top 40 in the UK. That is
there we go.
Incredible. I mean,
number 4. He's got a Champions League spot. He's got number 4.
Exactly. I first became familiar with Joe. Here we go. We're referencing WCPW again for his work over there, and I thought he was an exceptional talent from literally the first time I saw him putting a song together, referring to Big Damo or Killian Dane as he was known on SmackDown with Sanity, and putting that theme song together with parodying Adele and Hello, It's Me. And it is so awesome to see someone who's legitimately talented in the amateur style of wrestling as well. Competed, of course, in the qualifying and perhaps got over that line as well for the Olympic qualifying a few years ago. For someone who's so naturally talented, not just in the ring, he's so jacked and what he does as well. He's getting in amazing shape. He's just super talented as well. Joe Hendry, you are our local hero as well as the world's local hero. And, you know, I got not much more to add to that. Any further thoughts? Posh, hit me with some Joe Hendry stuff, please.
Other than the fact that was absolutely amazing what he did, what he's done this week, getting in the power of wrestling. That's what it is, and the song is incredibly catchy as well. So, what can I say other than what an absolute legend?
He is, and the way the second part of the song goes into sounding just like Hollywood rock as well. I mean, they're setting up WrestleMania for next year, which we'll come to very shortly. Let's move it along a little bit now. Apparently, SmackDown didn't really have an awful lot to talk about in the build-up to Backlash in Lyon. So that's a bit unfortunate. But
other than the fact that the French crowd were absolutely amazing, but I'm sure we'll get to that when it comes to Backlash.
Was SmackDown in France as well, was it?
It was in France, yeah.
Magnificent. Excellent. Okay. So shall we get into it? And I think this is the part of the show where if you can raise your right hand up for me, sir, I'm going to give you a hot tag.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. And I would like to hand it to Posh Bertie talking about the pay-per-view that happened last night, please, sir. Floor is yours.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. Well, of course, Backlash, I actually watched it live. I think, Jordan, you did as well. So, brilliant. Obviously live from Lyon in France. And can I just, the crowd there were just absolutely amazing. Like, it was one of the best crowds I've seen probably for a long, long while. Worth noting, the phenomenal chant that they did for AJ Styles. I cannot get that out of my head. Like, honestly, I actually used that as the song to promote this video on the Instagram story I did on Laguna Gathering. But so I think the first match was, if I remember correctly, Kevin Owens and Randy Orton versus the newly formed bloodline, I guess, Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga. Tama Tonga, of course, mostly famous from New Japan. He's now in WWE as a new member of the Bloodline, and the match was very chaotic, a street fight, wasn't it? Jordan, what did you make of it?
Yeah, it was exactly that. It was chaotic, and I don't think we could have had a better way to open up the show. The match completely matched the atmosphere that the French fans brought.
Okay, and oh yes, Mr. Meadows.
Thank you, sir. I was going to open this up by just saying how hot the crowd were as well. They were hot all the whole night along. I think before the bell rang, both teams were going at it in a bit of a brawl, which led to the general manager, Nick Aldis. Yes, the name came to me. What a professional I am. He came out and said, all right, lads, you go for it, no DQ. And yeah, so the match was pretty brutal. Kevin Owens hitting a fantastic Michinoku driver through a set of chairs for a 1-2. And then the referee was pulled out of the ring. Who was he pulled out by the ring by, Bosh?
Well, that was someone called Tanga Loa, I believe. I'll be honest, I do not know much about him other than he is Tama Tonga's brother in real life, I believe, and is also a wrestler. Obviously, it's quite funny.
I'm glad you pointed out he was a wrestler, rather than someone random who just appeared.
Yeah, I was going to say, if some
bit of a worry,
French bloke in the crowd, got in and then there we go. Kylian Mbappe was in the crowd, or something. Yep. It was in France after all. But yeah, I think we heard about Jacob Fatu apparently signing with WWE. I thought it was going to be him being the one that was interfering, but it wasn't. It was somebody else. I don't know much about Tangaloa other than, obviously, as mentioned, he's Tama Tonga's brother. And yeah, it's a new member of the Bloodline. Yeah, that's right. Another one. It's like a factory. They keep processing them, and it's yeah. So yeah, that's a new member of the Bloodline. Anyone to add on to that?
Yeah,
yes?
I do have something.
Go on.
Just to finish, obviously, with the distraction of Tangaloa, that eventually was enough for the Samoan Spike to be planched on KO for the win of this match. As you kind of alluded to a little bit, a resurgence of the Bloodline, if you will, following WrestleMania, and from what I've seen, a very entertaining and extremely good way of starting off the PLE.
It's threw me off a bit though. Like you brought up Jacob Fatu. What's going to happen with him now? Is he just going to join the Bloodline as well, or why has that happened? I just don't.
At some point.
Jordan.
Back to my point earlier, I think they're going to hold up on Fatu just for a bit. I think we are going to see a returning Roman Reigns with Fatu on side, with Jimmy Uso potentially to have a 3-on-3 Bloodline versus Bloodline match. Maybe as far as SummerSlam or Survivor Series.
That is a good shout, that, to be fair. Fair enough.
But by the time Survivor Series rolls around, there'll be a lot of Bloodline members for that. They do War Games, don't they? That'll be like Bloodline versus Bloodline, won't it?
Do you know what? It'll be like WCW back in the old days, mate, when you had Black and White versus the Wolfpack. That's what it'd be like. Do you know what? It's quite fun for that crowd in Leon to see someone totally unexpected to come in, like Tangaloa. I mean, yeah, we've all heard the rumours, of course, about Fatu coming in, but it's quite fun as the story develops, and seeing how Paul Heyman reacts in the middle of this storyline as well. the guy needs a blimmin' Oscar. But the facial expressions, the way he pulls it off, and his work is just phenomenal. And when he's coming to the end of that matchup and he's doing this and he's looking, it's just amazing.
He's so good.
Yes.
He's the GOAT. That's why he's the GOAT.
Completely, 100% agreed. Shall we move across the second match of the card, Bosh?
Yes.
Triple threat match to talk about Bayley against Tiffany Stratton and Naomi.
I thought the match was quite good, but I think the finish came out of nowhere and was a little bit underwhelming. I don't know what your thoughts on this are, Jordan. I personally thought the match itself was actually quite good. What do you think?
For me, I think this was probably the most disappointing match of the card for me. The finish in itself was pretty underwhelming, like you said. I just didn't feel like the chemistry was there. Although I did love seeing the Alabama slam onto the tables by Tiffany Stratton. If Sam was here, if Sam was here, he'd know I'm a big fan of her as well. And it's only a matter of time before it is Tiffy time.
Oh God!
You've been listening to the same video that I've been listening to, my man. So, what I have to add on this one, when Tiffany goes for the, I think she calls it the double. Well, she calls it the prettiest moonsault ever, doesn't she? Both her opponents rolling out the way of that, and all of a sudden Stratton's landed on the feet for the other two to pull off a 3D. Incredible!
Oh yes, that as well.
What a
that was a great
that
moment.
is, which pretty much wiped Stratton out, and it led to pretty much a one-on-one from there. Bayley against Naomi, and predictably. Bayley with the retention after a cradle pin. 1, 2, 3, or un, deux, trois, if you want, to retain her title. Any other thoughts, guys?
From what I've seen, I just agree with everyone else. Like the match seemed good until the finish. Really, like the finish was a bit. No one really likes a roll up, like one of them, like out of nowhere finishes. Really, let's be honest. I don't know how
Unless
they
you're
don't.
Simon Miller.
Yeah. Shout out to What Culture.
Of course. What Culture? The reason, or one of the reasons why I got back into this beautiful sport that we love to talk about. So,
I actually met Simon Miller in real life, but there you
did
go.
you really?
No way.
I did. I was at a wrestling show, funnily
Go
enough.
ahead, Podge. Take it.
I was just at a wrestling show, saw him wrestle. He was all right. And I met him at the end, got a picture with him. I said to him, "You get a golden up from me." And he went, "Oh, no, you get a golden up for being supported." So there you go. He's a lovely guy.
Was that in a progress show?
No, it was like a local show.
Fair
UKPW.
enough. I've seen he's been wrestling there a lot. In progress.
Yeah, that was a few years ago.
Of course, Simon Miller's an Arsenal fan as well, mate.
That's why we got along so well.
Would you like the chances of me giving him a call and see if you appear on our channel? What do you think?
I think that'll be wonderful, and I'm sure. There we go. There's the picture. There we are.
Do you want to put him solo?
And it's fine, but yeah.
No. Here he gets all shy. Bless him. Okay, fair enough. So let's So we'll
move on, shall we?
We'll move on. Before I go on to the next match, there was a very interesting moment between Heyman and Jey Uso. I don't know if you've got that in the back. Do you have that?
I know of it. Yeah, they're doing a bit of teasing, weren't they?
It was almost like Heyman was saying to Jey, "Help me." I think that's some great storytelling for the future. What do you guys say?
I'm with it. I'm behind it all the way. Like, I'm just sitting back and enjoying the ride, really. Like, I like what they're doing. Like, I'll be honest. We had a comment from Castelar Garcia. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong and butchered it, but he said that the Bloodline 2.0 is a lame new version. And it's like, what else can they do? Really? Like, I think they're going the right way about it. I'll be honest.
I do, because I feel that with Roman Reigns doing what he did in his epic title reign, let's not sugarcoat it. It's one of the most extraordinary reigns as a WWE champion I think any of us have ever seen in our lives. And I'm old enough to think of Hogan taking over that title in the 80s. So I feel, because every time Roman appeared and did his thing, he was box office. He was incredible in what he done. And as a heel champion, I think he was just amazing. I mean, he always found a way of retaining that championship. And honestly, it's the making of him. I wouldn't expect to see Roman back anytime soon. Maybe a few months down the line, maybe in the autumn, perhaps some Survivor Series, say. I'm just throwing that out there. But the fact that they've got new bloodline resurfacing here that we spoke about with Solo and Tamatonga and now a new one in Tangaloa, it will be fascinating to see how that would develop in going further forward. Anything else for anybody to say before I carry on and talking about Uso and Priest?
I was just going to say, can't speak.
Yeah.
It was always going to be tough for the whole Bloodline storyline to continue after Roman's title reign. But it'll be interesting to see how they go about it.
Yeah. And the best thing about that picture that I believe Batman was kind enough to bring to all of the people there. Look at the facial expressions there. Look at the expression on Heyman's face. Look at the face on Tambalonga there. And it's like, yeah, you got to follow this. Who is the tribal chief here? It's like Solo has gone and that first place, the pole position, if you want, and it's going to be way down the line. I would think months to come. Whenever Roman comes back, that confrontation is going to be very, very interesting indeed. So, Posh, if I tag it back to you, Can you talk a little bit about Jey Uso against Priest and how that went?
Yeah, I thought it was a decent match. I mentioned the crowd again when they were bopping along to Jey Uso's theme tune. They had the light on their phone on when they were doing. Yeah, thank you. When they were doing Jey Uso's theme, it was very nice. I thought it'd be interesting to see how they would manage Priest's title run after because I thought the cash-in was very good at WrestleMania.
I loved it. Brilliant work.
And
especially
I'd be intrigued
on the outside as well. Brilliant.
I'd be intrigued to see how they will manage his title run. I thought it'd be a good match, and I expected Priest to retain because I don't think Triple H likes a good old long title run. I don't think he'd end the Priest's title run just like that. But I thought it was for what it was. I thought it was a very nice match. Jordan, you also watched it live. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was a good back and forth match. I thought just for a second, Jey Uso was going to clinch it when he landed a couple of super kicks and the Uso splash. But the pesky Bloodline once again getting involved. No, did I say Bloodline? Judgment Day.
Yeah,
Judgment Day, you
yeah.
mean? I totally
Yeah,
get
yeah.
what you mean, and that's a really good point because you look at the finer details of wrestling and the storytelling, right? JD coming down for the interference, of course, of Priest, which initially Priest didn't want him down there, which eventually led to Priest hitting an incredible razor's edge move. Finn Balor came down, got super kicked by Jay, but that was enough of a distraction in this match for Priest to hit the clothesline, and then I think the move's called the South of Heaven. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think so, yeah.
Thank you. But we ended up there on a false finish. Incredibly, it carried on. Jay got knocked off off balance when he was on the top rope, and it led to Priest hitting an avalanche South of Heaven for the win. Interesting bit of work at the end of this matchup, where DP is sort of continuing that slow build on the face turn, and he was telling like Balor and JD to stop it when they carried on the attack on Uso, and I just find that little bit of storytelling quite interesting. Let me throw it to Jordan. Your thoughts on the end of the matchup here?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the babyface turn of Damian Priest come in until I saw a video from a YouTube TikToker wrestler guy called Mr. Santi Zap. Shout out to him. He called the face turn recently, and this was the culmination of it. And I think we're going to see it.
Anything from heel Batman here?
Yeah, well, obviously, I just seen the highlights. Seemed like a good match. I really enjoyed what they did with like Priest being like, you know, I want to do this on my own. Like, I like that stuff. Like, I just love what WWE are doing right now. I really think that this is like the best stuff they've done for ages. I really do. Like,
I agree.
It's got everyone interested again. Wrestling's just sick again. It's good.
It's got the interest going in the fan base, and even for me as a somewhat lapsed fan, I have definitely kept a very tight eye on what is going on over there, and I can recognise the fact that they're doing some extraordinary stuff over there. If you look back in the last few months as they built to WrestleMania, for example, it's some of the best stuff that I've seen in any sort of era for a long time. And you know, with this thing with Priest as well, I think it would have been a heck of a surprise to see Priest come on the wrong end of a result here, because he's only just got the title here. But it's very interesting to see a change in his character, a very slow, very gradual build up on his character, which will quite clearly, to me anyway, will lead to a full-on face turn at some stage. What that will do for Balor, will Balor end up being the leader indeed with Judgment Day, of course. Judgment Day, of course, without a couple of members at the moment, as of course Dominic Mysterio and what's her name, please? Mommy.
Oh,
thank you, Rhea
JD
Ripley.
McDonough.
Yeah, no, Rhea Ripley is the injured member of Judgment Day. I was after being off the, but I think both of them, Rhea and Mysterio, are going to be off television for a significant amount of time. It'd be very interesting to see where the storyline will develop with Priest and with JD as well. So moving on further forward, I think our next match was for the Women's Tag Team Championship, and it was Damage Control, represented by Kairi Sane and Asuka, against Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Posh, I would like to hear your views on how this match went, please.
This was the one where I thought, where I most likely would expect a title change. In fact, we're going to talk about predictions in a minute. I may or may not have predicted that, and may or may not have got that right. Go figure. There was a bit of a botch involving the ref, wasn't there? I think, Jordan, could you elaborate on that? Because I don't think I managed to catch that live.
I missed that.
Yeah, so there was at the end. Well, there was two from what I could see. The finish, Oscar wasn't legal, and she should have never got pinned, or Kairi should have never got pinned. And then halfway through the match, Kairi tried to pin either Jade or Bianca, and the ref had to put her off and said, "Kairi, she's not legal, or you're not legal." And it was a bit of a moment.
Oh.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. But how it ended, let me just see if I can get this correct. I don't have an awful lot written down for this other than the hot tag to Jade Cargill, and then sort of had a bit of a moment going on there. Belair hitting Asuka with a KOD, and we then had that for the pin for the win. So what I will say about that is, I don't think we can give enough praise to Kairi Sane and Asuka on bringing up the newcomers in this matchup. I think we're looking at Jade Cargill being sort of almost protected a little bit, teaming up with a former women's champion herself and Bianca Belair. I think it's really smart, to be honest. The fact that Cargill picking up the tag team championship with Bianca, makes a bit of sense, because then she's continuing to look strong. I would like to make sure that we are here on the channel are paying tribute to how well Kairi Sane and Asuka perhaps led this match a little bit for their perhaps younger opponents. Perhaps Jordan might want to say something on that.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. The right thing for Jade right now is just to get some matches in WWE, get them under her belt, learn the way that they like to run it. And maybe, as all good tag teams go, we'll see one of them turning on the other and a bit of a heel turn. I would love to see a heel Bianca. And yeah, shout out Kairi and Oscar Kabuki Warriors. They did their job very well in that match, apart from the botches.
I was going to say, it did seem a bit all over the place after that, but I think for what it was worth, they managed to hold it quite well.
Anything from heel Batman before we move on to the main event?
Well, I think the boys covered that perfectly, to be honest. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yes.
Can I just say, whatever Jade did at the end there, the sequence into her finisher where she caught Kairi off the top rope, insane. We have not seen that power from a woman since China, and that was insane.
My man, calling it exactly as it is. I was privileged enough to be amongst the watching it literally week in, week out in China, doing things like that. And yeah, she's the closest thing I've ever seen to her, and that's full credit to her. So let's move on, gentlemen, to the main event of the evening. Cody Rhodes defending against AJ Styles. Now, I will throw it to Posh Bertie in just a second to call the last match if you want, because I don't have anything written down because time was becoming very short for me. What I want to do before I throw the tag to my broadcast partner is a big shout out to referee Jessica Carr. Becomes the first woman to become the referee on a WWE title match on a main event anywhere. So fair play to her. I want to throw it to Posh to talk about the main event itself, please.
So, as I mentioned, I think the young, well, I was about to say unsung heroes, but they paid attention to them quite a lot. Was the crowd in the match, and as I mentioned, the chant they did for AJ, which I believe is some like French dance song called Phenomenal, because AJ's the phenomenal one. Do you get it? That's why they chanted it.
Yeah.
And I can't get that song out of my head now. All weekend, it was fantastic. Absolutely, yes, pun intended, phenomenal. And yeah, the crowd were they were fantastic. Not just through the main event, but throughout the entire event and SmackDown as well. So fair play to them. This was, I thought, the match of the night, 100%. I knew that both of them. This was actually, I think Carl actually asked me this before we went on air. Was this the first time Cody and AJ wrestled each other? Well, in WWE anyway. Turns out
so.
It was, and
I think so.
And I thought for the first time, those two actually worked very well. And I just thought it was absolutely the match of the night. Lots of great spots. And of course, as we'd expect, Cody retained his championship. Of course, whilst that happened, I thought AJ did incredibly well, as you'd expect as well. I'm going to throw it to Jordan. I think he can probably, no pressure, talk about this in more detail than I can do. But what did you make of it? I thought it was brilliant.
I thought it was a great first title defense for Cody. AJ is a badass and he looks great at the moment, and he was the perfect guy to put him up against to make Cody look strong, because AJ, he is the phenomenal one. It was great. I would like to see him run it back, have another one. I think we all knew where the result was going. We knew Cody wasn't dropping. Great match. I was glad to see it only took one Crossroads because of the finisher fest at WrestleMania. And then also just shout out that Cody cutter from the top rope. Insane.
Yeah.
I think that wouldn't have looked as good if it wasn't AJ selling that. Like, it looked awkward. It was gonna be awkward. Like he was too high or something. And then AJ just went with it like sweet. Like he's so good, man. Like he is so good. I hope they keep him up there. Like,
well, here's the interesting thing, Carl, because what I think, what I've heard, is I think AJ might be leaving WWE very shortly, and for Cody to come against a very creditable opponent in Styles in an incredibly big pay-per-view, particularly for us here in Europe, literally just down the tunnel from where we are here. I thought it was really, it's a fine way of a talent to have a fantastic match against the newly crowned champion, and maybe having a slight doubt in who's going to come on the outcome, but ultimately, with Cody finishing the match with Crossroads, and quite rightly said by the gentleman to my left here, Jordan saying that it was one Crossroads. I'm kind of glad, because it kind of puts Roman over really strong. That the fact that you had to put the triple on him at WrestleMania to become the champion. It keeps that story going alive, and then for Cody to retain against AJ in Leon, like with just the one, it doesn't matter. They put up an incredible match, incredible work for AJ, who looked great. I won't say phenomenal because that's a terrible pun, but he looked fantastic from the highlights I've seen on this one. It was a really, really impressive defense from Cody. It's kind of difficult, isn't it? It's kind of that difficult spell, like post-Mania, and then coming towards the next biggest ones like SummerSlam, Survivor Series. It's kind of that difficult transition period between then with the big PLE or pay-per-view from WrestleMania to the next big one. But I thought for a stand of an opponent and getting a great match out of as well, I think AJ did great here.
Yeah.
Anybody?
No,
Go.
No, I was going to say I absolutely agree. I just noticed in the comments Bronco in VA, of course, Spencer, who's actually one of our regulars on Gooner Gathering. I think he's being a bit harsh here. He said it was probably the most boring pay-per-view in a long time since I started watching again. I think I disagree. I think actually it. I thought it was actually the matches were quite good. I think on paper the card may not have looked particularly spectacular, but it's one of those cases where whilst it may not look spectacular, the matches over deliver, and I think it was definitely an occasion yesterday. I thought matches, you could argue the women's tag match because there was a few issues surrounding like with the ref and everything, but I think a lot of the matches were really, really good. I was entertained, so sports entertained, as they say. But
as Mrs. M makes an appearance behind me, I didn't even know she was behind me. she just running on camera. Give me a call next time. Thank you. You're right. What I want to say is that as a main event, I find it very difficult to call it PLE, but I managed to get the word.
I still say pay-per-view. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
What does PLE mean? Like, I didn't want to seem stupid, but
premium live event.
Live event. That's it. Yeah, absolutely.
I think they want to go away from the pay-per-view now because everybody can stream it. So
yeah.
But I think from the one following up from WrestleMania, I think it from start to finish it was quite strong, having a strong start with KO and Orton being beaten by the Bloodline, which continued the storyline from that, having an unexpected debut in Tangaloa there. Then Bayley retaining it, kind of expected, but I think it was a decent match nonetheless. The work that Uso and Heyman put together in the backstage bit before the match against Priest, with the predictable title defense with the interference, but then the build to the Priest face turn, and then following that, the maybe slightly clunky tag team match between Damage Control and Cargill and Belair, but still ended up with the newcomer, like I said, with Cargill for certain. One that I'm not uber familiar with, but she's got all the tools and everything to become a huge star in the business. To having her teaming up with Bianca, I think is really, really smart. And again, big up to the dethroned champions in Zayn and Asuka. And then for a first defense of Cody to go against a very creditable opponent in Styles, I thought was a very well put together, nicely paced event. To be honest, that is my kind of final thoughts on this one. I'll throw it to heel Batman for his final thoughts, and then we'll go round in a circle to Bertie and then to Jordan, please.
Well, my final thoughts. Overall, it looked good. Obviously, I only seen the highlights, so it's gonna look good. I missed the botches in that match with Oscar and
Kyrie Sane.
Kairi Sane. Yeah, I missed them botches. But yeah, it seemed good to me. Like I really enjoyed what I seen from the. I even caught like the end of it live, like because I forgot all the time. Like I forgot it was in France, so I just caught the end of the Cody and AJ match, and I thought what I seen like it was brilliant. To be honest, like I really enjoyed it. I knew that they, like their styles, like Posh said, would go well together. Like they'd work really well together. And like I enjoyed it. Overall, it was a pretty good pay-per-view. I think Bron Coin's been a bit harsh as well. He did say that nobody with a title was actually in threat of losing. And I think he's kind of right, other than the Kairi Sane and Oscar one, obviously.
I think what Spencer meant was that the major title holders indeed in Priest
Yeah, yeah.
and Cody. But yeah, he's right. But it's like it's always kind of difficult to do these ones overseas, isn't it?
Yeah.
When your bulk of your audience is west of the pond, you know. But I still feel from what I've heard and the highlights that I've seen of it, I quite enjoyed what I saw, and it continues an awful lot of storylines. So Posh, what did you think? And then we'll go to Jordan, and then we'll try and wrap this up if you like, gentlemen.
Yeah, we've got to do the predictions result afterwards, just for a
I'll throw
reminder.
that to you because I've got nothing to do with that at all.
Okay, well, I think I did go into this knowing that some of the all the matches bar the women's tag, because I think that could have gone either way. The champions were they weren't in threat of losing at all. Like there was, a lot of the matches were going to be predictable, but I went into it thinking, okay, as long as the matches are going to be like entertaining to watch and very good, then that's going to be fine, because at least even if when it comes to storytelling, even if it's predictable, if it makes sense, then that's fine. That's all good.
Oh, sorry, Posh, but I just remembered. Sam did put in the chat earlier, did I miss the prediction results? And I've just thought to bring it up now. Like, we got to do them before we finish, right?
Yeah, we were going to do that.
Yeah, sweet.
My man,
I just reminding you. That's all. Sorry to cut you off as well.
No worries. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a very good event. It was, I enjoyed watching it, and yeah, Cody and AJ was match of the night in my opinion. There we go.
I'd agree.
Jordan, you can. What are your thoughts overall?
Yeah, I agree with the rest of you. It was a great card. It was a safe card. You know, they didn't take any gambles. They carried on the storylines nicely. It was a real dip their toes in the water of France. Great card, but I mean, for me, the French fans, they really they took over the show. And us as British fans, we are known for being hostile and trying to take over, but they've just showed why other countries need a chance. I saw in the post press conference that Hunter's looking at Italy maybe as well. I'm all for it, but great show, great card. For me, the standout moment was Jade Cargill's, whatever you call that, fantastic. Also, I just I don't know if anyone else caught the Uncle Howdy reference, the bit during the card. Bit disappointed we didn't see Uncle Howdy, but we carry on waiting for now.
Like a QR code came up on the screen, but yeah,
it played a very creepy voicemail, talking about family and stuff. Very creepy. That's fantastic long-term storytelling as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
There we go.
And it's going to lead to a very interesting piece coming up as we go along, I think. But yeah, Posh Bertie, anything else for us to talk about? I believe we have predictions to talk about, sir.
We most certainly do. So, if I okay, so in terms of the okay, so actually it's so Jordan, Thrill House Max, and so, and yours truly all got 13. I believe we all three of us got a clean sweep there.
Wow.
So there we are. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, yes,
There you
thank
go.
you. Yeah,
Can I call it? And new heavyweight champions of the world, the combined team. Oh,
yeah.
Posh
I'm
Bertie,
definitely a heavyweight.
Jordan, and Thrill House Mike.
There we go.
Fantastic effort, guys.
And I think us guests, I think, created a bit of a predictions league of our own. And
Right.
yeah, well, it's unchanged because it's Jordan, Thrill Max, and myself. Because
Fantastic.
we were all came along as guests, and we created a kind of a league ourselves. And there we go. We're yeah,
Well, there you have it, ladies and
clean
gentlemen.
sweep for the posh one, and for the other two as
Absolutely.
well. All right.
Absolutely.
Congratulations, boys.
Any words from the outgoing champion?
I'm not even the outgoing champion if you're looking at me. I've lost every one.
I'm
Every
just looking
single
at the
one.
guy with the belt.
No,
Fair play.
I'm the belt holder just because heel Batman does what he wants.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
so-
can't argue with that.
Exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that will bring us to the end of our magnificent professional stream here on Wrestle Dawgs this evening. If you haven't already on your way out, hit that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to this fantastic channel. It's a lot of fun to be able to contribute on this channel, and it's been a joy and a pleasure to be your co-host with the most on this fantastic stream today. We'll throw it indeed to Heel Batman, and then we'll for everyone to do their social medias, and I'll come back at the end. So let's go to Heel Batman for your. As I have some strange notifications going above my head.
Well,
Floor is
you know
yours,
what?
sir. What have you
Give
got
me a-
coming up?
me
Sorry,
a
what
second.
have you got
Give me a
coming? Yeah, absolutely.
I've
So
just got
as we are filling for time for just a second, hit the
This.
Patreon button. That's wrestledogs.com/Patreon or patreon.com/WrestleDogs. That's the one. There you go. And there's the magnificent merch. You can get your very own DWO shirt over on the link just on the left-hand side of
Yes,
your
sir.
screen. Anything else you want to plug before we get out of here, sir?
No, that's it, boys. Thank you very much. Feel free to plug your stuff, and I'll pop it up on the screen as well. As
Thank
you're
you very
saying
much.
it.
Have you got any videos coming up in the works for the next couple of days, sir?
Do you know what? I'm a bit everywhere this week, so I'm gonna definitely come down to an idea this week, but I haven't got one in mind at the moment, so I can't give you the details.
Tell us about the video that's just gone out the other day, then.
Well, the video that's just gone out the other day is
Yeah.
one of my favorite and funniest feuds of all time. Vince McMahon versus Shawn Michaels and God, which we all know, if you've seen it, is just insane.
It's mad.
So go check
Oh.
out that video if you haven't already.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here. So let's give it to Jordan. Mate, would you like to give your social media a shout out or anything else you've got coming up? Whatever you want to plug, go ahead, please.
All right, well, I'll be the boring one here. I have nothing to plug apart from everybody should follow this channel. I know this is only the second time I've come on the stream. I have terrible Wi-Fi, but I think I've found a way to make it work more, so I'll be ever present. If anyone watching wants to join the predictions league that I've set up, the more the merrier in there. From the looks of it, me and Posh aren't giving up, and we're going to clean sweep every pay-per-view. And if you like dubstep, you should go listen to my music at, where am I? There, at Bandicoot_UK.
Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us. My man, my tag team partner, my co-founder of Gooner Gathering, Posh Bertie. Where can they find you, sir?
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Posh Bertie, where I mainly just rant about Arsenal all the time. You can find me on Instagram at Bertie Wanless, and I also run Gooner Gathering's Instagram account, which is, of course, at Gooner Gathering. Gooner Gathering, we watch Arsenal so you don't have to.
That's it. Absolutely right, mate. Absolutely right. So, ladies and gentlemen, all of you here on Wrestle Dawgs, it has been my honor and a privilege to be able to host this stream for you. Big up to Sam Wilson, who's normally in my place, who's recouping after a very, very hard working weekend, drinking several beverages, I'm pretty sure, following his birthday. So big up to Sam Wilson. You can find him at Sam Wilson with the one as the I for Wilson. You can, of course, find me at Goonerly Meets. You can find Gooner Gathering, if you so wish to do so, at Gooner Gathering on X. You can also find us on YouTube, where myself and the big man in front of me will talk about Arsenal and have a lot of fun doing it as well. And I also
throwing in niche references as well.
Absolutely, more often than not, to do with the old wrestling. And you can also find us on TikTok. Again, Gooner Gathering, search for us there. And to complete the stream, I will throw it to Heel Batman to sign everybody off. So thank you very much.
Before I do, I just want to throw up one more little plug for Sam, because he's not here. Go follow Sam's Twitch, boys. It's there on the screen. And yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for being here, helping us out with hosting, since I'm a wrestling channel and don't watch any wrestling. But just thank you, and I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure. Make sure you hit that like button before we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Of course.